We also have the total net internal migration to the Sunshine Coast is 17.5%. It's a standout, followed by the Gold Coast at 8.1%. Now that's still in line with historic trends, or has that changed?
That's more significant than normal.
Yeah,
absolutely. So we are seeing Southeast Queensland attracting the bulk of internal migration into Queensland. So and that's logical and normal when you think about it. I mean, this is where the amenity is. We talked about the commutability and so forth. So the Gold Coast and the Sunshine Coast, to a lesser extent Toowoomba, are always going to be popular because they're commutable into Brisbane, and they have the airports and the amenity and so forth.
Let's just talk about investment in general. We've seen investors now make up 38.6% of new loan commitments, the highest since 2017. What's driving that increased interest?
Yeah, that's a national figure. So it's typically you'd expect to see investors about a third of mortgage demand. So it's quite elevated. It's approaching the 40% mark. Queensland's even higher than that. So you generally find most investors, or the largest portions of investment activity, are flowing into those markets where capital gains are the strongest. So that's generally what investors chase, is capital gains.
Yeah. Are you finding many Victorians, because of the higher property taxes at the moment, including the change in land tax legislation, they're actually reallocating funds, selling and reallocating up here, or you don't?
No, that's definitely happening. Yeah. It's been quite a bit on the news recently about rental bonds in Victoria. They've actually been going backwards the last 2 quarters, which that's the first time we've ever seen that historically. Yeah. So investors are looking to sell, partly, as you say, the taxation environment in Victoria is very high, but there's also greener pastures outside of Victoria. And Australian investors tend to chase capital growth. And that's why we're seeing more investment in WA, Queensland and South Australia.
Your top suburbs for investment in the Sunshine Coast, where would you focus? Tim Lawless, big question.
I'd always be looking to the scarcity, and I think that's probably the most important thing when you're looking at investment opportunities, is trying to ensure that you're not buying into a market that could be oversupplied, which ultimately generally puts some downwards pressure on prices. So the scarcest markets on the sunny coast tend to be more affluent suburbs as well. So Noosa Heads, Noosaville, Sunshine Beach are all top of the list for me. Even though they do have a higher buy-in price, they probably will have stronger capital gains over the long term.
Yeah.